You wake up on the ground. Not a mattress. Not a sleeping bag. The ground packed earth, dry leaves, maybe a thin animal hide between your skin and the soil. It is still dark. Something moved near the tree line an hour ago, and your body never fully let go of that sound. You have slept in 4 or 5 short bursts. You do not feel rested. You feel alert. This is morning hunter-gatherer style. And it is the easiest part of your day. For roughly 300,000 years, every human being who ever lived woke up exactly like this. No walls, no lock on the door, no food in a refrigerator 20 feet away. Just you, your group, and a landscape that does not care whether you survive it. Most people, if they are being honest, would not last a week. Not because they are weak. Not because they are unintelligent. But because the gap between the world your body evolved for and the world your mind thinks it can handle is enormous, and that gap closes fast when you are cold, hungry, and something is moving in the dark. Let us find out exactly where you would break. Day 1 begins before sunrise. Your group somewhere between 15 and 50 people, because that is the size that actually works for mobile foraging bands, small enough to move fast, large enough to defend and share, is already awake. The fire needs to be rebuilt. Not with a lighter. With friction. Specifically with a bow drill, a spindle of dry softwood rotated rapidly against a hearthboard, generating heat through pressure and speed until a tiny coal forms, which you then transfer to a bundle of dry grass or shredded bark and blow into flame. Anthropologist and fire ecology researcher Dennis Sangaith has documented that this skill, practiced by modern foragers and reconstructed at sites like Pinnacle Point in South Africa, takes weeks to master and minutes to fail at. Your hands are not calloused the right way. The wood you picked up is slightly damp. The coal dies. The group watches. Someone else takes over. You have already been replaced. Breakfast does not exist the way you think it does. There is no designated meal. There is eating when there is food. Right now, there might be some tubers left from yesterday. Some dried meat, maybe a handful of berries someone saved. Primatologist and anthropologist Richard Wrangham, in his research on cooking and human evolution, argues that cooking even basic fire roasting dramatically expanded the caloric yield of food, making it possible for early humans to sustain larger brains with smaller guts. But that only works if you have food to cook. Today, you need to find it. The men and older boys in the group will likely move out to hunt. You go with them. This is not a trip to a supermarket. This is a 7 to 15-mile walk across terrain with no trail, carrying handmade spears, not the thrusting kind, the throwing kind, atlatls in some cultures, which are spear-throwing devices that extend the arm's leverage and dramatically increase range and power. Archaeologists have found atlatl weights, called bannerstones, at sites across North America and Europe dating back over 10,000 years. They work, but they take years to use well. Your throw goes wide. The animal, a deer, a gazelle, whatever the landscape offers, was already reading your approach from the moment you crested that last ridge, because you were walking into the wind wrong, and prey animals can smell fear, sweat, and unfamiliar scent profiles from hundreds of meters away. The hunt fails. You walk back. Meanwhile, the women, children, and elders in the group have been doing the work that actually keeps everyone alive most of the time. Gathering. This is not aimless wandering. Anthropologist James Woodburn, who spent decades studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining groups practicing a lifestyle that closely mirrors ancient hunter-gatherer patterns, found that skilled Hadza women could identify over 100 edible plant species, knew exactly which tubers were ready to dig in which season, and carried that knowledge in their heads with the precision of a field botanist. You do not have that knowledge. You pull up roots that look edible. Some are mildly toxic. You will not know which until later tonight when your stomach cramps. This is day 1. You are already behind. Day 2 brings a problem your body is not built for in its current condition: sustained physical output without adequate fuel. Hunter-gatherers covered enormous distances. Anthropologist Herman Poncer, whose research on the Hadza was published in 2012 and fundamentally changed how scientists think about metabolism and energy expenditure, found that Hadza adults walked an average of 8 to 10 kilometers a day for women and 14 to 19 kilometers a day for men, and yet burned roughly the same total daily calories as sedentary Westerners, because their bodies had adapted over lifetimes to conserve energy at rest. Your body has not made that adaptation. You are burning hot. Your feet, in whatever approximation of footwear you managed to lash together, are blistering. The group's pace feels casual to them. To you it feels like a forced march. By midday you are falling behind. Here is where it gets genuinely dangerous. A group on the move cannot wait for a member who cannot keep pace. This is not cruelty. This is physics. A mobile foraging band survives by covering ground efficiently, by arriving at water sources before competitors, by staying ahead of seasonal shifts in food availability. Paleoanthropologist Eric Trinkhaus, studying skeletal remains of Neanderthals and early modern humans, found evidence of healed fractures, joint disease, and traumatic injuries at rates that suggest a physically brutal life, but also that injured individuals were supported and cared for within their groups. You will not be abandoned, but you will be a burden, and your group will feel it. Day 3. Water. You have been rationing. There is a river to the north, maybe 6 miles away, but between here and there is open ground, a problem, because open ground means visibility in all directions, including for predators. The megafauna of the Pleistocene are mostly gone now, but even in recorded historical time, encounters between foraging humans and lions, leopards, hyenas, and crocodiles at water sources were routine and often fatal. A 2018 analysis by paleoanthropologist Donna Hart, drawing on predator-prey ecology, found that early humans were not apex predators. They occupied a mid-level niche, hunting when they could and being hunted with uncomfortable frequency. Your instincts about predator danger are dulled by 10,000 years of agricultural civilization. You do not scan the right way. You do not hear what the birds are telling you. You reach the water. You drink. You are lucky. You might not be lucky twice. Day 4 introduces the social problem. Hunter-gatherer bands operate on radical egalitarianism, enforced by reputation and shame. Anthropologist Christopher Boe, in his analysis of band-level societies, describes a process called leveling where any member who attempts to dominate, hoard, or take more than their share is immediately sanctioned by ridicule, ostracism, and in extreme cases, collective violence. You need to be useful. You need to contribute. You need to share everything you find, even when you are hungry. Your modern instincts around personal property, individual reward, and privacy are running directly against 10,000 years of egalitarian social architecture. You kept the better piece of meat last night. Not intentionally, but the group noticed. The silence around the fire this morning tells you everything. Trust in a foraging band is currency. You are already in debt. Day 5. Shelter construction in rain. A storm is moving in. The group finds a protected overhang, not a full cave, just a rock face that cuts the wind. They begin to build a quick windbreak from branches, large leaves, and animal hides. You have watched them do this. You try to help and mostly get in the way. The technique for lashing branches, using twisted plant fiber cordage, a skill archaeologist Olga Soffer identified at sites like Mezherich in Ukraine, where mammoth bone dwellings were constructed roughly 15,000 years ago, is not intuitive. You're not slip. Your section of the windbreak sags and lets the rain in on the side where the children are sleeping. You fix it. Eventually. At 3 in the morning. In the rain. Day 6 brings something no amount of physical preparation could have warned you about. Silence. There is no stimulation. No notifications, no background music. No narrative structure to your day beyond survival itself. Research by anthropologist Polly Wiesner, published in 2014 in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, analyzed recorded conversations among the Juhonsi San people of the Kalahari, another group, whose lifestyle offers a window into ancient foraging patterns, and found that nighttime conversations around the fire were dominated by storytelling myths, personal histories, jokes, and the kind of imaginative narrative that builds and maintains social bonds. This is your television. This is your internet. You are hearing stories in a language you do not fully speak, around a fire that barely holds back the dark, with your back to a world that can kill you in a dozen quiet ways. And yet, sitting there, something shifts. The people around you have been alive in this world their entire lives. They know what the silence means. They know which sounds are harmless and which are not. The woman to your left has walked these grasslands since she could walk at all. The elder on the other side of the fire lost 2 fingers to frostbite years ago and has been hunting every season since. They are not surviving this landscape. They are living in it, the way your body knows how to breathe without reminding itself to breathe. You are the one who is out of place. Not them. Day 7. You wake up on the ground. Packed earth. Dry leaves, a thin hide between your skin and the soil. It is still dark. You are sore everywhere. You are hungrier than you have ever been in your life. But this morning you do not reach for your phone. You do not think about the coffee you do not have. You listen. Wind through the trees to the east. One of the children shifting in their sleep. The low exhale of someone else already awake, tending the fire. You sit up. You help tend the fire. For 300,000 years, that was the whole job. Stay alive. Help the group stay alive. Wake up tomorrow and do it again. You would not have lasted a week. But in another life, a life where you were born into this, where you learned to read the land before you learned to read a page, you would not have needed to last a week. You would have known how to live in one. The ground beneath you has always been there. Your ancestors slept on it every night. And somewhere in the architecture of your sleeping brain, in the way you still sometimes wake at 3 in the morning for no reason at all, part of you still does not trust that the darkness is safe. Part of you is still listening.